blessing to be able to be in this league with y'all, you know, putting on for UC.
Cincinnati, a basketball school for...
And there he goes. Touchdown, Bearcats.
Brookwamba again. Another slam inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GoBeercats podcast. I am Brandon. That's Darin. And we took a week off thanks to life, but we're back at it today. Darin, how's it going on this very chilly night here in Cincinnati?
It's going good. You know, we're chilling, hitting the winter season. Not quite yet. I guess Solstice hasn't hit, but you know, we're getting close. Other than that, been enjoying being a Bearcats basketball fan.
It is, to quote our good friend Hummer, it is a great day to be a Bearcats basketball fan. Bearcats are taking care of business, 7-0 on the season, and we're really in the middle of Xavier Hate Week, the days leading up to the infamous, legendary, incomparable Skyline Chili Crosstown Shootout. I'm so excited for Saturday and Sunday with the women's team going up against Xavier on Sunday as well. So we got a lot to talk about there. And I want to hear your thoughts. You know, I certainly have some hot takes here maybe as well about the basketball team. I'm very, very excited about the basketball that the Bearcats are playing right now. We got a little test, a little scare there in DC. But so far, we've taken care of business.
Yeah, absolutely. The DC game, honestly, Howard game was a good test. I mean, yeah, tournament team last year with a super senior on their team leading the way, who's had multiple stops. But we came out squeaky clean. I don't say squeaky clean. We came out in the W column there. And honestly, you're going to need games like that to really test this team and give them some adversity. So I was grateful for that.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's, you know, before we get too far into it, I'm on top of it here tonight, Darin. I just got home from practice, literally just sat down and everything. But thanks to the Delhi Liquor Store, I had a nice Rhinegeist dad in the beer fridge waiting for me. So check out the Delhi Liquor Store. They have you covered with a great selection of beer or bourbon, wine, cigars, anything in between there. Check them out. Certainly love the continuing sponsorship from the Delhi Liquor Store. I'm drinking a dad here to keep me warm. You got anything you're sipping on, Darin?
Just a little H2O today. You know, I plan on working out after this, so can't really have beer sloshing around inside me before that.
I got you. When I cracked this open, I was like, man, this sounds delicious. It feels like I haven't had a beer in forever, but it's really just been since Saturday. I don't know. Sometimes the days feel longer than what they are. So, well, Tuesday night ice is what it used to be called back in the day. So we'll see.
Very nice.
Let's, I mean, you want to give me some of your bigger picture, some of your feelings around the team for now. Maybe 7-0. You want to jump around and weave in and out of games. You want to talk where we are and things like Ken Palm, anything like that. I'll leave the floor open to you to sort of guide us through this.
Yeah, you know, it's good to see us have the hot hand. We are 7-0 for the first time since 2017-18 season. We did have a hot start the year after that, but we lost the home opener, if I remember correctly, too. Not the home opener, but lost the opener in Ohio State the next year, I believe. But we had just as good a start.
When we reopened Fifth Third.
Yeah. So we did still have a pretty good start to that year, but we did not start out 7-0 going into the Eggs game. So a lot to be excited about. You know, we're watching some fun basketball. It's fun. It's good to see them play well. And just be exciting and see this team really start to come together. Obviously, still waiting on some news for some other players to be cleared. But like I said, before Aziz got cleared, you had to assume that was the team until further notice. So
true.
Currently, this is the team and their current form. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
I like just watching. I watched the Florida Gulf Coast game late on Sunday. My schedule is stupid busy right now. So I didn't watch that. I had to finish my final paper for my first semester of grad school on Sunday. That was not didn't have a lot of free time there. But once I did finally get that finished, I watched the game. There were some interesting lineups that I saw in that game where I think it was, I would consider it like a big or a big lineup. There was, I think Jizzle was at point, Dan, Josh Reed, Vic, and Aziz. That's a pretty beefy lineup in my opinion for some of the other options that we have. We saw a big on big pick and roll that worked very well with Vic coming off the screen. I think actually Odie came off the screen once as well from Aziz, and I'm pretty sure they both led to buckets. That was a unique little wrinkle that I didn't really expect to see, but I think that's going to work well for us going forward. Jizzle James has been, especially that Howard game, played out of his mind. I think we'll see what happens on Saturday if Xavier tries to pressure us at all. I think that could be a weakness for us if teams are really going to get out and play full court man-to-man defense or whatever it may be. So just some things that I've noticed here recently. But I mean, when you're scoring 99 points against any team, I mean, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so I'd even argue won us the game on that back end with his second half efforts. It's like I've mentioned before, it's great to see a true freshman give effort like that in contributions. Obviously, he's only had probably like 2 to 3 really good games, so you don't want to get too high with the highs. But sometimes you have heroes come out of nowhere that you least expected. So really appreciate his effort. Like the screenplays, as you mentioned. Tough, weird basketball game, at least as a away viewer. I had a buddy who actually went to go see that game because he lives out in DC now.
Nice.
So he texted me. He's like, "Hey, do you think I got scammed?" Because he got floor seats and did not realize the size of their gym and paid almost I think $200 for that. Yeah. But hey, when you're away from home, you want to sometimes it's a big price to pay to see your teams. But he had a good time. I was able to snap some pics and see him on the weird camera angles there. So obviously it's like I said, fun game, especially when we come out of a weird environment like that. Tough team, with playing a team of a super senior on them who's had 3 stops now. So I mean, and once their bigs fouled out late, we were rolling at that point. Obviously, we had to get that effort done in in extra time, and you just kind of knew. Honestly, you had a feeling, with the way the game was being played, the vibe that they were going to make that shot. Yeah.
I think at one media timeout, the sideline reporter reported back that the Florida Gulf Coast coach was telling the team to stop feeling sorry for themselves and pick their heads up and stuff like that. I never heard that in coach speak before. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. I was like, if you got to say that, so you're going in for a long rest of the game. Hopefully, you don't have that much time left. But that took care of business. Well, as you're watching games, I know you said before that basketball is not your favorite sport or not a sport that you usually tend to watch a ton of. But is there a guy right now that's like whenever he touches the ball, you're waiting for him to do something spectacular with it? Like who are you keeping an eye on right now?
I mean, I hate to pick out popular people, but Vic is just his motor, and it's not even in terms of speed or quickness, just rebounding is just it's if he has an off night in other aspects, you can always count on him to at least get you a second chance
Mhm.
or turn the ball over for you. And it's just great to watch. I am a physical defense minded person, so it's just great to see. It lights up my brain.
I love it, dude. I mean, Vic averaging 15 and a half, basically 8.5 rebounds. He makes his presence known all the time. I don't know if it's because of the competition or if it's because of the roster adjustments or what, but so far in these 7 games, it feels like he's been on the floor a lot, or as much as Coach Miller wants him to be. When in the past, it feels like he's getting in foul trouble early. We can't get him out on the floor for long enough sets. It seems like those issues in the first 7 games of this season have gone away, and he's enforcing his will. He's doing what he wants. It looks like it's coming easy for him, whether he's stepping out beyond the 3-point line and becoming Dirk Locken, or if he's showing off elite footwork in the post. All the aspects of his game have been on display so far. For me, I gotta say it's CJ Frederick though. If just like last year, I think I said in the Discord, it was every time we threw up a 3 last year, I was verbally screaming at my TV, "No, don't do that." And this year, I'm saying, "Yes, shoot another one right now." And it's like I think he had 19 or 20 this past Sunday, and just the way if he's shooting 50% from 3 land, that's unheard of. Like I don't know if I've ever seen or heard of another 3-point shooter shoot that high of a clip. So that's beyond elite. So I don't like if he makes 3 of those a game, like he's done his part, like he's filled his role. So when he's making 5 or 6 a game, he's going above and beyond, and those numbers add up quick. So I think his shot, like I said, it's butter. I'm going to keep with that all season long, just because the influence he can have over a game, and just with such a little effort, it seems like. So hopefully those shots keep falling this Saturday, because if they do, I think we'll walk out of the Cintas Center with the dub.
Yeah, you just want to say, let it rain, unload.
Yeah.
May fiery baskets rain down. Go ahead.
Just like another thing, as I'm thinking here, like the shots that he's shooting are not the shots that Jeremiah Davenport was shooting or even Landers Nolly. It's not transition pull up from 5 feet behind the line when there's space to drive or whatever. I don't know if it's just like the sets or the way he can get himself open. It works phenomenally, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if it's what defenses are expecting from him that allows him to shoot like that. Because at that point he's still helping in the rebound game a little bit. So maybe they don't expect him to they expect him to drive on those sets. Maybe he just has a targeting computer in his brain, and when he gets hot, he gets hot. But yes, absolutely. If he, is, looking back, it was 83% against Florida, 60% against Georgia Tech, 33 against NKU. Tough game getting started in the season, but absolutely, if he can get that going against Xavier, we're gonna have a good time. And really, it's a rivalry game. You really just never know how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Overall, you're just going to need people to make plays.
Yes, make plays, and it always seems like when we go to Cintas Center, we always come out flat.
Yeah,
like we don't realize what we're walking into until it's too late. Now that might be just the hauntings of Mick Cronin teams, flashbacking in my mind here. We can sort of transition into the rivalry here a little bit. We have not been that successful against Xavier as of late, as of the past decade or so. And it's Wes Miller. I mean, the added storyline for him is all he knows rivalry games. He's part of Duke, North Carolina, and whatever. You got to think that he does not want to go down 0-3 in this series against your crosstown rival. There's no way that. I mean, he's got to feel some pressure, I think, to win this game. Maybe I'm wrong about that. The way he talks and the way he presents himself as a college basketball coach, I think that I don't know if he feels the pressure per se, but he knows that there's pressure, and everyone in the city wants us to win this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's only one university in this city. The other one's in a different city, technically. So there you go.
It's not called Xavier, Ohio. That's why I said in this city.
But no,
over there.
You're looking at 0-4 in the last run altogether. We're 3-0 at the start of the decade. And then in the last decade, we weren't even that hot. I mean, if you're looking at the columns, the red was a little bit more prevalent, from 2010 on to 20, but we really only won 4 of those games. So you're looking at a rival that has owned the narrative more often than not. Last win is 2018.
Hey, can you see that?
I can.
Look at this technology, baby.
Mm-hmm. Same chart I have pulled up.
Watching this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Although, if you're a fan of the red team winning, this is hurting your eyes.
Oh, I think that's a little off. It might because there's a double up in the bottom, or it should double up to the bottom there. There should be 4 for Xavier, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess that maybe it wasn't updated from last year, 22-23.
Yeah.
Update your website, crosstownshootout.com. God.
Yeah, they unfortunately took it to us. And like I said, last time we were 7-0, we still did not quite take it to those boys over in Norwood. So you're hoping we can rectify a hot start and have it mean something, because this is the way I see it. This is our a quarter of the way through the season, and this is you could be I don't want to do coach speak. Start a new season. We're finishing one season, and the next season starts tomorrow within the season. But this is going to really help dictate how we go into conference play. This is a big game for us. And you want to prove to yourself that look, Howard, like I said, was some good adversary as far as playing just a strange game and a team that would not go away when you have the opportunity to put them away. But that is still different than a team that is going to 100% give you everything and make you pay for your mistakes, because that is what they want to do. And like I said, last 7-0 start since 2017-18, the infamous horror Nevada conference year, Nevada NCAA year. But we ended up losing to Xavier going to that. We're both ranked. Lost 89-76. And that was arguably one of our best teams in a long while. Obviously, that leaves a bad taste in Gary Clark's mouth, came in Broom, but you're hoping to flip the narrative this time around. Obviously, like I said, 0-4, so far since our last win is already bad enough. But do you want a rival to really ruin a start to a new chapter? Going into the Big 12, especially with a hot team right now.
Let me ask you this: you have a favorite? You can answer this one of 2 ways: a favorite of all time, or a favorite while you were a student at UC, but a favorite Crosstown Shootout game or year.
This is going to sound weird, but the Crosstown beatdown year, we lost. but obviously Cronin was in charge at that point. But just something hearing those post-game comments and how we conducted, at least from a coaching standpoint, an organization standpoint, how we conducted ourselves. It was a reminder of how seriously, one, you take your program, your student athletes, and how you kind of separate yourself from a rival still, even though you lost that game. I was rewatching the interviews the other day on that. Just the difference in how the coaches conducted themselves. Cronin sitting there talking about he doesn't know if these guys are who's going to ever play again. That's not what the university is about.
Hoping he doesn't get fired.
That passion was just infectious, and they're talking about they zipped them up. That's their motto. There's some gangsters or whatever too, and it's just one seemed like just fake bravado, in the light of an embarrassment, and the other one was truly remorseful. And I was embarrassed to see what happened on the floor, but proud to hear what happened after the fact. And if you remember, we had a great run after that too. Yeah,
that's the last time we've been to the Sweet 16, Darin. Somebody lit a fire up under somebody somewhere, and then we went to the Sweet 16 for the only time in Mick Cronin's tenure here. I believe that's true. It's been a minute. We ended up losing to Ohio State that year in the Sweet 16. I remember that vividly, being hammer drunk on Panama City Beach during spring break. My fraternity brothers and I, we all went down as a large group, and we commandeered a local hole-in-the-wall dive bar, and they were not ready for all of us walking in there to get really rowdy for this game. And I also specifically remember from that Ohio State game that Justin Jackson was our leading scorer at the half with 8 points, and I was like, if Justin Jackson's our leading scorer, we're in trouble. But yeah, to answer my own question here, in that same sort of era, the 66-46 win of the 2010-2011 era is probably one of my favorites. I was in the student section for that game. Yancey went off. I think he had 20. I think he hit a 3 in that game, which I don't think he ever hit. Kashmir Wright, the general out there controlling everything. And what was cool is during the time I was a student there, from like 07 to 12, took a victory lap because it was fun. Why not? But Xavier, their starting point guard was Dante Jackson, and I played against him in high school. And obviously he started, I think, all 4 years at Xavier, and he's from a very, very small place called Greenfield, Ohio. So every time I got the chance or it went quiet, I was just screaming, "Go back to Greenfield." And I'm sure he had to hear it because no one else knew where in the world Greenfield was. But beating Xavier by 20 at any rate is a good time. So that's probably my favorite one as a student for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean that was a good game. In the days of heavy defensive UC basketball, where you really weren't dumping it on people like that. Because in the stretches, the problem was if we ever got behind, you question if we had the firepower to do anything, because we could slow them down at least, but then we weren't doing anything with a lot of possessions a lot of those years. Fun fact: the Crosstown Beatdown year is the only. If you go to Wikipedia, it's the only game that has actual hyperlink in that chart.
Okay.
That has its own tail to tail, obviously for obvious reasons. Like I said, I'll probably get hung out to dry for that one. But sometimes it's just a good reminder of where you go to school and what it means to go to that school. Obviously, winning is fun and cures everything.
Absolutely.
But again, you just gotta be proud of where you're from, which is Cincinnati.
Yeah, as I look here, so Xavier, they actually have a game tonight. They play Delaware. Or they just tipped as we're recording this. Tickets are still available for $2, Darin, at Cintas Center. So maybe run out and we can run out and catch the game. But as I'm looking down their roster, like usually there's guys that you have heard of before. There's
Mm.
guys from. I'm just looking down this roster, and I was like, I don't recognize anybody. I pay attention.
Mm.
Their leading scorer, Desmond Claude, 16 points a game. Quincy Olivari, and almost 14 points a game. There might be one guy that I recognize on here. I don't know what's happened. Maybe I had too many beers. I've forgotten, but it's are we going to get a game that's like it seems like a lot of years it's some no-name guy or some little known guy, like like imagine like Josh Reed going off for like 25 on Saturday and being the reason that we win the game. If that happens, good, I'll take it. But it's a game where something like that can happen. It's a game where giant leads can happen, and Kenyon Martin has to go in at halftime and rip somebody's ass and tell them that they got Cincinnati across the chest and they better start playing like it. That's a great one-time moment in the history, even though we ended up losing that game. And while I'm thinking of it, if you really want to piss yourself off, go back and watch the last minute of last year's Crosstown Shootout. Holy hell. I did that maybe like a week ago because I was trying to work on a different project that I've not released here for Catskeller Social Club yet, and I probably won't be able to till summer. But I was watching that game, and I was like, you know what? I gotta take a break because I just got pissed off all over again.
Yeah,
all at the end.
Yeah, I mean, don't torture yourself, right? Yeah. But no, you actually beat me to it, because that's how the story always seems to go, right? And maybe it's just that people don't pay attention enough. But as you said yourself, you pay attention. But it's always some random guy. You don't know him before, but then you know him afterwards. That gets hot for Xavier. Starts raining random threes, and then at that point, the rest of the game just opens up for him. And the guy can go cold, but then he's already hit 15 points in the first 5 minutes. So you gotta prevent Xavier from having guys who just turn to heroes and become become legends, myths. And it's not to say Xavier's a bad team. They are 4-4 as it stands, but they've had some tough games, and they're not even at full strength, from what I understand at this point.
They played Purdue tough. They lost by 6 to Houston. So they've definitely challenged themselves a couple times here and have played them well. And I'm assuming they'll be 5-4 coming into the shootout on Saturday after most likely beating Delaware here this evening.
Yeah. You just never overlook them. I obviously never overlook any opponent, but Xavier can be having their worst year, and some guy just gets hot, and you're looking stupid at the end of the night.
It's like Mick Cronin's first year in 06-07 when Bearcats beat him and probably had no business winning that game. What was his record his first year? I mean, that had to be one of a handful of wins that team had. So anything can happen. That is for sure. And you're right about their schedule. They have tested themselves for sure so far. Have the Bearcats done that enough? And I mean, if you ask Coach Miller, I'm sure he's saying we're playing the long game here about preparing for the Big 12, not necessarily worried about one game here in December. And he's probably right about that, but it'd be nice to be right about that and win this game at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you always run the risk of expending too much emotional energy in one game. Even if you win, then it's like sort of what cost, because then maybe you have like a 3-game skid after that, and takes a while to bounce back before you're looking down the barrel of a gun in conference play. So I see where he's coming from. But as Cincinnati fans, you know how our fellow fans are. We are very fickle about things. And at a certain point, you kind of get tired of losing to the people in Norwood. We don't have a stellar championship football season to save us from that, or have other things going on to distract us and say, oh, at least you don't have this, and you can't fall back. It's just at some point something's got to give. Now I'm sure if we went undefeated the other way, the only person we lost to is Xavier, and you get a championship, I'm sure people would trade off at that point.
Yeah.
But that's just not how the sport works. Only one person can be at the top, and you got to win the games that are important to you too.
That's true. I mean, I feel much better about not needing to win this game to help get us to March. Like if we, we don't have to have that on our resume now in the Big 12, or in the past in the American. Like, this was one of the marquee games for our resume. So I kind of like the it's a little bit less pressure now with this. So I'll take it, because the Big 12 is what it is. So I will I'll take that, a little less pressure, although still crush X on Saturday. You have anything else for the men's Crosstown Shootout? I want to talk a little bit about the women's side of things, and then I want you to tell me about the portal of death in football.
Like I said, this is going to be a good challenge for us if we come out on the other side. You have a few nice games to after that to get you ready for Big 12 play, and then you open up Big 12 play against a tough BYU team, ranked number 14 right now. I'm glad we're not ranked at this moment. I think that takes some of the pressure off. Hopefully that allows some of the guys to play loose. They know what they got to do. I mean, no one likes losing, so in general. So you would assume they want to win every game. It's just, can they match the emotion and the pressure that is going to be in that arena the second they step out on the floor?
Yeah, like I said, it feels like this game has been lost in like the first 8 minutes of the game numerous times in the past decade or whatever. So match it early, or take the crowd out of it early. And I mean, there's two different strategies there, but certainly don't get down 20 some points in the first 8 minutes like it seems like we have in years past. So come out, expect a street fight, not literally. Not even. Come on now. You know what I mean. So before I forget, there were two things that I needed to bring up, and I wanted to bring up before the start of the show, and I forgot because we haven't feeling a little rusty here. The first thing is, listeners, this is important. Please stay on here for another like 90 seconds if you only came for Crosstown Shootout talk. At the beginning of the year, the idea is to move the GoBeercats podcast into the same location where you find Cincy Slangin. So we will probably move over to their, RSS feed. So if you are subscribed to Cincy Slangin, beginning of the year, we will move over there as well. And then that feed will become the Catskeller Social Club podcast feed. Just like here on YouTube, right? You get both of our video content, the podcast, in one stream. It'll be like that, but for just the audio listeners, not the video. So the goal is to do that for our first episode of 2024. I will try to continue to remind us on our weekly episodes as we get there. But that's something that is going to happen. All right, so you've been warned. If you're only subscribed to the GoBeercats podcast on Spotify or Apple or wherever, go over and subscribe to Cincy Slangin. So once we merge, you will already be where you need to be. The second thing for the new year, I don't know if you saw this in the Discord, Darin. I don't know what that channel is, but we're all grouped in there about the content. I don't even know what it's called. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We're going to try to do a live stream watch party for that BYU game. So what that exactly looks like, I'm not for sure. It's a late tip-off, 10 o'clock game, because I believe we're out there. But that'll be something that you'll probably be able to catch right here on YouTube, or maybe a link to some social medias as well. So that'll be like the first time we try to do a watch party where all of us are together here and reacting to the game as it's happening. So be on the lookout for that. Now, Sunday is the women's Crosstown Shootout. I will be in attendance with my basketball team. They are super excited. We were talking about that today. Lady Bearcats are 4-3. The Lady Musketeers are not. They are 0-7. If I'm not mistaken, both of these teams are under a new coach. They moved on from their coaches from the past couple of seasons. So I don't know what the deal is there with the Lady Xavier Musketeers being 0-7. I know that they've dropped some games to the likes of Miami, Ohio, Kent State, and Bowling Green. And the Bearcats just beat Kentucky over Thanksgiving break. So I'm expecting a really good game at Fifth Third for the women's Crosstown Shootout.
Yeah, you have two new head coaches going head to head. Xavier is sitting at 0-7 for the Lady Musketeers. Lady Bearcats are 4-3, going to 2-1 at home. So our home schedule has been looking really good. They are obviously 0-7. They're 0-3 away. They are trying to implement their culture over there at Xavier. Obviously, on paper, things look good for us, but you just never know how these rivalry games. Obviously, having a former player heading up the sisterhood, the importance you'd expect has been communicated on what needs to happen. But again, rivalry games, they're weird. You never know.
Yeah, I'm gonna. One, I know that they've pushed this game to try to get people there. I think you can get tickets, or you used to be able to get tickets for like $4. So if you're not doing anything Sunday, come out. So I'm going to be interested to see if the on-court intensity is as high for this game as it is the men's game. Is it does the rivalry spill over? I know it does sort of with other sports like baseball, for example. I know a lot of people look forward to. I think they just looking forward to playing Xavier no matter what the sport. So I'll be, trying to see if that intensity comes out on the court for this game as well. I would imagine that it does when these two teams meet on a court or a field or what have you.
Yeah. Look, I'm excited just to have a weekend of Crosstown Shootout.
Yeah.
A good chance to be out and about for 2 days too. Obviously, Billy Chambers, has had some success. The current coach of Xavier, when she was at Iona, did lead them to a tournament berth twice, as recently as last season, and then 2015 and 16. So you can never be too sure. Like I said, trying to establish our culture there, as well. And you can only lose for so long. The hope is that we are not the first victims. But as it stands, their last 5 games, you're looking at a loss to Old Dominion, 54-43, a loss to BGSU, 73-64, Kent State, 65-57. That team out in the stretch of Oxford, 58-57, lost in OT, and then to Temple, 78-41. So I mean, it looks like they're trying to piece some things together here, but they just haven't quite gotten over that hump. Their leader right now is Michaela Scarlett with 13 points a game, and then you have to watch out for Neela Blackford rebounding at 10. And she gets a lot of production for them, assists, blocks. So you're going to want to eliminate those two to get started early. And then for us, I was just play consistently down the stretch. If you're on a run, keep it going. Don't go cold for segments of the game. You do that, I think we'll be fine.
I will expect some live tweeting or some live discording from the game. See if we can get a little rowdy there on Sunday. I think the last thing we got to talk about, Darin, like I said, the portal of death or whatever is happening I think, and here's my take. I don't have all the names in front of me. Like I said, I thought, you were keeping a list, or you at least posted one on in the Discord. There's a couple names that hurt, or who, you have to say, look at this guy's production over the past 2 years. Deshaun Pace, for example. I mean, he's part of the college football playoff team. There's some names in there that hurt, but there's a lot of names on that list too. I have no idea who they are. So the list might be long, but is it that bad?
I mean,
maybe
you're losing some names on there, obviously. Pace is taking a walk. Chris Scott. I mean, Scott wasn't a heavy contributor, but at least well known at this point in the program. Shimon Taylor, which feels pretty big, but at the same time, you wonder. Obviously he left before senior day. Put his name in that hat before senior day. Yeah. George Udo came here as a safety last year. Cameron Jones, Miles Montgomery, he wants to be running back number 1. Thinks he can do that somewhere else. And doesn't really quite feed into the idea of being a 1-2 punch with Corey Kiner. Sammy Anderson, hard feelings there from him not being medically cleared to play. So that hurts. Sean Thomas, you're losing some defensive line depth with Justin Watley and CJ Doggett Jr. See, you got James Camden, Luke Dalton, Stephen Bird out of the running back room, Isaiah Cox, long snapper who recently got a nice little fluff piece. Kason Pfeiffer is on the move. Justin Harris, losing some DB depth there as well. Jamal Williams. I think that's about what I got. Oh, Donovan Ollie as well. And threats are on their way out as well.
That was a big one for me. Threats, I thought, was a pretty good football player. I honestly maybe him, Mater, Pace, and then I think there's a wide gap with most of those other guys. You talk to me about how you feel about the starting offensive line all coming back with Corey Kiner, because it seemed like Corey Kiner's tweeting some things out. Maybe some I don't know what he was doing there. I don't know if that was just a psych type of thing or if that was flirted with. But we got those guys back and Kiner. What do you think that means heading into next year?
I think he was just making fun of guys hopping in the portal.
Oh, okay.
Because he knows, Rick and Morty's like, like, I'll be right back, and then hops in the portal and dips, like, and he's gone.
Okay. Okay. I like that. That went right over my head. I like that a lot.
That's obviously, you never know what anybody's thinking in their heart of hearts, but that's how I read it. And obviously, he's got his line back. But yeah, I mean, you talk about as being a first year now under your belt head coach for a program. You want to establish a core, whether that is a group of players that buys in, are a unit that is ahead of schedule, like the run game with the offensive line. And so having the whole line and a portion of your offense that is working is a great thing to lean on, because you now officially have something to build off of. And we knew he wanted to be run first. I just think people couldn't see the vision because the results weren't there. But again, on paper, when you're kind of and he mentioned this in this press conference today too, when you're out gaining opponents, especially in the run game, it's there. You're closer than you think. We just didn't have the result that mattered, which was the W. So having a rushing attack that works, and a back who took the reins and ran with it literally is a great start. So now you're hoping, at least from my little humble tiny little J journalist opinion, is you want to get a speed back to complement that at this point in the portal. So that was, you have a unit that is pretty much whole at that point. Where they're going to look to improve, obviously, is being able to pass protect a little bit better next year. And they interviewed Gavin Gerhardt and Kendra and Kiner in the second half of the presser about their decision. They said midway through the season they were already pretty sure that they were going to come back, and then once one of them tweeted out, it was just a snowball effect from there. And you get some great content out of it too, video content. Only announcements. Obviously, you say your quarterback takes care of his line. In this case, it's your running back who is with his boys. Because he's going to be the one flourishing in this offense. And then to start off the press conference today, obviously, like I said, Satterfield was there, but he was on either side of him. He had Mason Fletcher and the Don himself. At this point, it's safe to say that those guys, if you didn't know now and from last year, if you didn't know this year and from last year, now you know they are the pillar. I won't say the culture guy because that usually has a sort of connotation with it, but these are the guys to uphold what he's building. The senior leadership, they're going to, get guys in line. And they really didn't mince words either. And I didn't think there was these were like savage takes or anything like that, or trying to dog people. But they mentioned people wanting to be there and wanting to, be coachable.
Mm-hmm.
You had rumors of certain players, getting in fights, missing team meetings and just, not being focused in the game, So I imagine that's what he's alluding to, what Dante Corleone was alluding to. Mason Fletcher, also, spoke on that a little bit. He admit that he had been dealing with an injury all year. They were at the beginning of last season, they were deciding if they wanted to operate at night, decided to play through it. And had an okay season, but not the season he wanted to. He mentioned wanting to, learning a lot from this last year, and the adversity that came with learning more this year. In fact, from versus his winning seasons he had with under Luke Fickell, and that adversity has taught him a lot. And those two guys, one common word they brought up a lot was just loyalty. There's certain air that comes with being a CEO coach. You're kind of the man in that situation, so it may not be easy for your players to relate to you one-on-one, but they clearly may not be loyal to coach, but are loyal to the university and to the brand of Cincinnati. And that was refreshing to see.
I like it. It'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of what we do at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I think complimenting Kiner with a speed back, that would be, I think, a smart move. We'll see what happens when we start getting announcements for people joining the team, not leaving the team. And in the meantime, I will just continue to enjoy this basketball ride. And hopefully, when we win on Saturday, I'm gonna be talking reckless online. So tune into that on Twitter or Discord or something. I'm going to be a crazy man. So it's over. I'm ready, Bearcat. I know we're going to take care of business. So it feels good to do this again, Darin. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's been a minute. We had to miss a week, kind of. So feels good to get back behind the mic and talk of Bearcats, because I'm super excited for what lays ahead of us already in this young season. And hopefully next week when we talk, we'll be talking about all the good things that happened in Cintas Center and at Fifth Third for the Lady Bearcats. So go Bearcats, baby.
Go Bearcats.
I'll see you, man.
See ya.